Alrighty. Is it early? What time is it?
35.
Oh, we're late. No, not a problem. Okay. It's lab day. It's February 28th, and I guess it's a leap year, so it's not the end of February yet. I found this graphic. I've got some. A friend of mine is a professor in a psychology department. She studies like industrial psychology, and a lot of that's sort of like concerned with like worker productivity and worker happiness and stuff like that. And so she had posted this, and I thought that's a nice reminder of pouring more time into work does not necessarily make you happier for sure.
So should I sleep here?
Actually, one of my life goals is to get a couch in my office so that I can take naps at work.
That's one of my goals too.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've made it.
Success.
I have proposed
You can
a couch.
retire.
I have proposed a couch for here, but that's mainly so I can take naps.
The
we
tender
could
couch.
maybe get an easy chair wedged in a corner.
Futon.
Yeah.
A cot. That's what the physics department had at JMU.
Yeah.
A cot. In a pull-out.
That would get gross in like 2 seconds, though. Yeah, never mind.
So I got a couple of, as usual, a couple of quick slides. Corinne in the alumni office sent me a list of what I thought were alumni zip codes and counts of people, alumni in those zip codes, but it turned out to be just a list of zip codes. So that's not so helpful. I emailed her to get that back. I want to try to, probably after spring break, I want to get people together. I didn't realize Josh was still taking classes here. So Josh and Raleigh took the lead on this project last year with a couple of assists from Hudson and Molly. But I want to try to get you guys involved in that this year. It's not really that much work. All we really have to do is update the database, and probably Josh will do that. But it's kind of a good way for the lab to get a little recognition and do a service to the college, and it's not really that much work. So we'll probably do that again this year. I saw that Open Topography is now also hosting the US LiDAR data set, which is pretty cool. That happened February 19th. I came across my Facebook feed like 2 days ago. And then just as a reminder, all of the US LiDAR data is also available through this USGS Entwine data set. So this is all browsable in kind of a nice way. You can still obviously get the stuff from the national map or from other sources, but this is a nice, sometimes the distribution system makes a big difference in terms of how easy it is to get the data. VGen is actually pretty good for Virginia, but this is nice. Stephanie Rogers gave a talk here 2 weeks ago in the remote sensing. You guys were both there, I think. So it was a kind of an overview talk on drones. One of the things that caught my eye during that presentation was she had mentioned sort of on-demand drone insurance. So if you're flying for Virginia Tech, you're covered by the Virginia Tech insurance policy. So that's not an issue, but if you're flying on your own, I have never insured my flights, but I probably would if it were this easy. So you can kind of do it by the hour.
Yeah, I actually have the app. It's pretty cheap. I can pull it up. Where is it?
Yeah, they talked about it in Remote Pilot 101. I guess they added the module.
Yeah.
Differently about it. Yeah.
But you can like drag around and stuff like that wherever you're at, and it cost changes. Like at Tech it's $25, but here outside that right outside of Tech $10. That's for
an hour.
$1 million. That's a 1 hour for $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case like you decide to crash into a building and destroy it somehow.
$1 million of
No coverage. Yeah.
That's
Oh.
what that makes.
What's the deductible?
I have no idea.
Insurance fraud.
You can like set the options.
Turn the camera off.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of things with it. I don't know, it's pretty cool. I haven't used it yet because I started to do it when I was like, maybe I'll start a drone business, and I never had reason to do it. So
Okay.
Does it cover like business? I know they get kind
yeah, it covers business too. You can do and you can change your coverage amount like down to whatever. I'm not sure, but you can change your coverage amount and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, I'll probably try it out the next time I fly just to see if it's
Yeah.
if it's convenient, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
you might as well. It costs a couple dollars. This was this was a thing that I mentioned last week. I'd done about 2 weeks ago. This is in connection with Hudson's project, and we were sort of looking at like, so his project is how do we reclassify point clouds in VR, and as part of that, the question is how do you classify, reclassify, how do you correct the classification on the desktop? Like, what are the ways? And so you can do it in ARC, and you can kind of do it in Cloud Compare. So this is what it's like to do it in VR Mesh, which is basically sort of like a souped up version of Cloud Compare. It seems like an okay application. I don't see anything immediately that would make me want to pay for it, because I think Cloud Compare still does most of what I want to do with Point Cloud. But this is actually pretty nice. This is one thing that Cloud Compare doesn't do very well. And so there are a couple of methods for repairing point cloud classification here. There's a 30-day trial if you guys are interested in the software. But one of the neat features, so there's things like you can sort of like draw polygons and reclassify, and you can, there's like a brush that you can kind of brush and change the diameter on. So that's pretty easy. But a kind of a nice, clever feature is that you can actually specify which things are allowed. So if you only want to change unclassified things to things, or if you only want to correct vegetation to building, you can set these parameters so that only those matching things can jump categories. So that's kind of a cool idea. Then you're not sort of just freely scribbling all over your point cloud. You can be a little bit more specific. So that's something that hopefully you can adapt into his project. We got the FreeNAS server up this week. We're still playing around with it. I've kind of handed it off to Sam and Jack to play with. I don't know, Jim and Colleen, if you're playing around with that at all. That's cool. I wouldn't bother. Yeah. The installation went pretty well. I put the extra lab 10 terabyte drive in there. I put it on a old-ish computer that I have laying around, so 8 gigabytes of RAM, 6-core AMD. It does have 1 gigabit per second Ethernet port built in. It installs, so like a lot of the NASs, it wants to install on a flash drive, which is neat. But I actually had just a 250 gigabyte solid state in there, so I just installed it to that anyway. The interface is really kind of nice. So if we wanted to improve the board, or if we wanted to improve the memory, I found on eBay it's like 16 gigs for $30, so we could do that if we wanted to. FreeNAS recommends 1 gigabyte per terabyte of space, so we can see what we think. But you can mount VMs and you can SSH into it, and you can do a bunch of other stuff. So it's really, really powerful. That makes it a little hard to sort of configure. There's lots of going on there. So it's work to figure out how to make it just do a simple thing like share folders. The performance was pretty good. So my big concern was like, okay, if we're serving off big data sets off of it and we want to interact with it. Storage is easy. That's kind of a one-way trip. But if you want to use it like a live drive, then the performance has to be pretty good. I was able to get basically 4 gigabit transfer speeds. So that's cool. And the responsiveness of it, so this is kind of loading the global SRTM data set living in like a raster mosaic. So the fill-in time is a little laggy, but that's not, it's laggy if it's served locally. So it's only about 30%, 40% worse performance or so, depending on what you're doing. The clip operation on the NAS drive was 18 seconds versus 13 seconds locally, so that's not a big deal. Pretty cool. Yeah. I got into NeilPi a little bit this week. So Johanna is working on a project, and she wanted to use the Smurf LiDAR filter. Her project, she'll talk about when she's here, but basically she wants to look at how roughness affects like campsite selection and trail erosion and things like that. She wants to be able to measure roughness quite finely. So that corresponds to something that both you guys are kind of interested in. So she was going to use Smurf to remove the vegetation. The nice thing about Smurf is it preserves these very subtle features. So the idea is that those rocks and stuff that's on the ground, you don't want to strip those out. Like those are important roughnesses to capture in the model. So she doesn't want the trees, but she does want the bumps and whatnot on the ground. but running Smurf, so Smurf is integrated in PDAL. I've got it integrated in Python. I originally wrote it in MATLAB. The Python version is in NeoPy. I've got examples up there, but as I looked into it, like, first of all, NeoPy wouldn't install on her machine. Same exact error that you guys got, which I thought I've squashed that bug 3 times, and I think it's actually coming in when it's getting uploaded via GitHub, because I've never once run into it whenever I've installed it from my local thing, and it's only when people are pulling it down from GitHub that it runs into problems. So I think there's maybe, I don't know, I think there's some characters not getting, like spaces or tabs or line feeds or something that's just not getting transferred right. So anyway, we'll try to figure that out. It needs a general cleanup. I know you had mentioned that months ago.
I have a fork that's cleaned up, and I don't know. I think I need to, like, there was a couple issues that.
Yeah, we might have drifted away a little far at this point. So I might just take a crack at trying to do some. But yeah, it's pretty bad. And I especially need to go through and update and organize the example. I did post a new Smurf example. So there's 2 new resources for Smurf. One is I've added a page on the lab wiki for how to run Smurf. I'll link to the Jupyter Notebook stuff is not fully fleshed out yet, but I want to figure out how to do all of it with PDAL. So I posted an example a couple months ago doing just a classification, but I want to walk through and like how do you make like an actual out of it. And I just haven't used PDAL enough to do some of that stuff. It's something that I'm familiar with Labs tools, but I don't know how to do all that stuff in PDAL, so we'll figure it out. I also don't think, I mean, it runs okay. We ran it on a reasonably big data set, and speeds were fine. But I need to check to make sure that it's really taking advantage of like multi-core and parceling up the data, running efficiently. You know, when you write these things, you kind of write it as a sort of proof of concept. It's like a prototype. Like it's not intended to be like, it takes something from like, here's the thing that works and I can demonstrate that it works to like, here's how it works in your 2 billion point cloud. Point cloud, that's a different thing. And like, there's nothing in it for me essentially to do that other than to help people out, which I guess generates more citations or something for me. But like, anyway, I need to test it against the PDAL version, and I need to write some documentation for how to get this stuff. And I think what I'll probably do when I get it all done is like, I either need to get the lab blog post up and running so that we can sort of get this out there publicly. Like it's one thing to have it and it's one thing for us to be able to use it, but like I need to get that information out to the world, like, and something other than a scientific publication, a web page or a blog post, or a YouTube video where I kind of talk about how to do it. And I think all of those things would probably be helpful to get it out into the world. It also needs to be ported to ArcGIS Pro, but that's a slightly bigger problem. I did make the jump. That's a separate issue. Anyway, I put a notebook up there to run Johanna's data set as a example. So this is a pretty concise workflow example of what minimally I need to do to process a point cloud to make this happen. This has been one of my things I've been wanting to do forever. So essentially what Smurf is doing is it's taking a DSM and it's turning it into a DTM, right? And you're visualizing it. And I don't know if you guys have seen like those things that like, you look at them this way and they're one thing and you look at them the other way and they're another thing. Yeah. Those are called lenticular prints. And I should have put a link in here. Okay.
Like a lenticular cloud.
What's a lenticular cloud?
It's the meteorology is supposed to not fly by.
It's what?
Jason from Remote Hub 101 told us about them.
Ah.
They're dangerous.
It's one of these things. Like do this.
Oh, those things.
Yeah. Should put a little video in there instead. Anyway, I thought this would be a super cool way to demonstrate Smurf. Like, look at it this way and it's the DSM, and you look at it that way and it's the DTM.
Very cool.
So I put an order in for these things and look at the pricing. You can get one of these things for $4 from Walgreens. So I ordered one, and it's going to come in March. So you give it the 2 images, and it and it does it.
That's cool.
So I thought that would be a fun little lab toy to have around.
Yeah.
Make for a fun demo. And then finally, some good progress on the 3D AR map stuff. The projector is now mounted securely. The warpage doesn't seem to be severe enough to worry about on the image. So the horizontal and vertical seem close enough. I think the keystone is pegged at 3. We can create an image of between 63 and 76 inches. So that's 1.6 to 1.93 meters. It's got a 16:9 aspect ratio. So I think we'll try to make something that's 1.76 by 0.99 meters. We'll kind of try to max it out, which should be pretty cool. That's 1 meter long. So this would be about 3 times the area, all said and done. So I think that would be a pretty neat to see it.
Yeah.
To see it really out there, I think it'd be cool. So I'll probably start with like touch terrain and just print some tiles. So I may give you guys however many tiles that is. 1, 4, 5, 6, 6 by 4, 24 tiles. So we're talking about probably a week-long print job, but it'd still be pretty cool.
This is like one of my favorite displays. Like,
Yeah.
You can see like I think it's pretty cool.
It's
It's a good showcase, especially if you have like open houses or something.
I think so, yeah. I'm still thinking about getting one that we would mount on the ceiling and could project down to the table. The projector is like $600, but I want to rebuild the AR sandbox, and the throw ratio on this, like it has to be back too far to get an appropriate screen size. So the short throw ones, which is what I should have bought originally, but whatever. Mistakes were made. I need to design a little magnety clip to like hold these things up there. So I'm gonna take the little ones, like a little 3D printer thing that printed. Clip the magnet is like recessed and can hold them up there. But I got a new fishing magnet. Those are 270-pound fishing magnets. So we can.
They're scary strong.
They're really, yeah.
We're worried that like you yank it too hard, you gotta like, pull the board off the.
Probably, yeah. I put in a little animation just for the fun of it because I know you guys don't want to keep this stuff up all the time, but it worked out pretty well. It matches up reasonably. You see the temperature differences that go along with terrain, and yeah, I don't know. I don't get tired of looking at this stuff. Down the road, I want to try to get something rigged up so that it's touch enabled, essentially, so that instead of having to use a mouse and keyboard to interact with it, you can actually interact with it physically. We've got a couple of things that, like I've got a laser pointer that would probably work to click, and that probably wouldn't be too hard to implement with just a camera. I think we could make that happen. But to get more than that, I think would be a little bit tricky. But I guess that would be a good start, like laser pointer mouse, like click, 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 click.
Do they have any of those smart boards lying around that they don't use anymore?
I don't know. I thought about that technology. Yeah, I don't know how hard that would be to bootstrap into what we do or not.
Yeah, I've only ever seen them used as expensive projector screens. These like teachers and professors don't know how to get them work pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they use them a lot in K-12, but
Yeah.
they're way ahead of us.
Yeah.
Cool, we have one.
Is there like a
In the lab?
Yeah, right there.
Would you use it?
I wouldn't.
I would.
You guys have a file cabinet. You want a smart board?
no? This is
Well, we're
good.
trying to upgrade.
Some dust cream truck.
That's
Well,
pretty
and then
tough.
we'll have a touchscreen monitor.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
One's not broken. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that one we ordered the replacement. So we ordered a new one, and then because we threw away the box, we have to get the new one, get the box for the new one, and then put that in that box, and then we can send it back. So that's the plan. And then lastly, Jack and Johanna are both interested in maybe doing some photogrammetry on a stick. So Johanna's going to take a GoPro and a stick hiking this weekend to see what a trail reconstruction looks like. And maybe you'll try something on the beach. If it works. If you guys haven't seen the notes, I guess I should have posted a slide on that. The reconstructions of these are amazingly good. I think there's a lot of room to do this and a lot of applications. I was quite surprised at how good of a job this did. Because I've done a lot of tried to do it from walking around, and it sucks. It just doesn't work. and I can't really figure out why it should work so much better when it's on a poll, but it does. So goals for last week were work on the UI/VR component of the drone manuscript. Actually, there was a little bit of progress on the drone manuscript, so that should be yellow. But I did get the projector reinstalled. And the last thing I got to do really is that I'm so behind on grading, it's terrible. So for those of you in my classes, I apologize. I'm just up to my eyeballs and stuff. So, all right, that's it for me. And you got to go next.
Yeah, I'll go.
Interesting.
What time did you say you have to go?
11:30. 11:35. Yeah, so we're doing pretty good today.
Are you picking up the coffee again?
Yeah.
There's a student of Corrine's that may want to do some data processing in here, so I'll let you guys know how that works out.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good topic of discussion. Use of lab computers. Balaji asked if he's like, I have this really big rash that I want to open. Can I use the computer? And I said, just like chat with Engel. He's like, do you think he would say like yes, he's anonymous committee? I'm like, I don't know.
Who?
Balaji.
Yeah, that's who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So should the default answer be?
Yeah, I'll let you guys can be the judge of that. If it's a short thing, like sure.
Oh, okay.
The resource they're here for mostly us, but I want them to be helping the department too. So I wouldn't say no to pretty much anything. But you guys can schedule as it is convenient. Don't break yourselves to like help somebody. I mean,
Yeah, like you're super early to open up the door and stuff.
yeah, help out when you can. But you guys don't need to be wasting your time on it. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I do want you to be helpful. I just don't want you to always be doing stuff for other people.
Yeah, I tried to fit as many Top-Gun memes as I could. It's not that hard. Or it was pretty hard.
Have you seen the original?
Yeah, it's amazing. That's been me, Jim, and Jack's go-to joke for the past couple days.
Okay.
We're on a highway to the danger zone with machine learning.
Working on our call signs.
Yeah. I started adding like a weekly summary. I thought it'd be kind of like some people in analysis, like at NG and stuff, they write backwards. So the most important high-tech statements at the top. They kind of go into details as they write downwards. So I thought it'd be interesting to like give you an overview of my week. So if you just don't care about the rest of the stuff, you know what happened.
Sure.
But yeah, here's my hours, and I started adding irrelevant work too. So classes, and then I
You add a section for irrelevant work.
Yeah, there you go. Irrelevant work OpenTube server. So research. I put Tom Cruise watching the plane take off because our planes we're back on the research train.
Wow.
So I sent out an email earlier this week about image digitizing. Peter digitized some imagery. That's I should put it up there. The forest patch that I've been working with. Instead of doing the tree trunks, which I showed a couple months ago, we're doing the full tree, and it's kind of subjective because it's hard to tell which is a tree. Like what is where's the beginning of the tree, where's the end of the tree. So Peter did that, and then I have 2 undergrads coming in today to come help digitize. And I think like 3 other people said that they were interested, but they just were a little bit busy. So I said, we might not need any more people right now, but we'll definitely, like, if we get more imagery and we want to do this again, I'll be reaching out. And then proposal, I did some organization and created my proposal doc and put that on my GitHub wiki. And then just abstracts. So I just pasted it in here. Is that what we wanted?
Sure. Yeah.
I can read it, or we can sit here
Yeah,
in silence for 30 seconds.
Yeah, let's sit in silence for 30 seconds. On that note, when is the OGIS submission deadline again?
Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. Typically, the work that you're submitting as part of your thesis will often have me as a second author. It's an academic convention. So unless you've got strong objections about that, concerns, let me know. But put me down for that if you can. As you go through your thesis, you may find that some people on your committee warrant inclusion as an author, like if you publish out of that stuff. So it kind of depends on the involvement. If it's just somebody who like literally reads the thesis and stamps the form, then no. But if it's somebody who's substantially involved. So I've been, of the however many theses I've been a part of, I would say 20% of them I'm a co-author on of the stuff that comes out as a committee member. So it kind of just depends, but kind of keep that authorship in mind as you go. Second sentence drifts off. Seems like there should be a tail end to that sentence.
Yeah.
Eliminate the sentence. This poster will present. In fact, I think you could probably introduce the two questions and leave it at that.
Okay.
That would be fine.
Sounds good.
Other comments?
No, I kind of agree with you, but the second sentence just kind of doesn't have an end.
Yeah, I'm reading and I think these two are supposed to be combined. This might be a couple versions back when I paste this in, but yeah.
There's a sentence in the middle. In this research, the questions being focused on are, that doesn't sound great. The questions being focused on are, and also I should probably be a colon, not a semicolon.
Got it.
But being focused on isn't.
Yeah, you might just say the research questions are :
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So, if anything, this is kind of lean. It's like 185 right now.
I think I should remind it of like 190.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Colleen, suggestion?
I don't have anything else to say. I mean, it's that second sentence is.
Got it.
I mean, you could try and work that efforts, the last sentence, the efforts have been focused on testing, like add that in somewhere.
Like towards the beginning.
But yeah, towards the beginning, but I wouldn't say like focused on like.
I just wanted to like delineate what this was
Yeah.
gonna be.
I like this.
I'm not presenting the whole
Yeah.
research. I'm just saying this little.
Yeah.
What we've done this far. But yeah, I'll bump it.
Yeah. I like the sentence. I think it should go somewhere, but maybe reword it.
Yeah.
Maybe efforts focused on this, or efforts have focused.
All right,
That,
cool.
I also like that sentence. I just think it should be something else.
Yeah, see if you can. I'm happy to. You're gonna bounce stuff to me.
Yeah.
Paragraphs are pretty easy for me to do. The longer the review task is, the
longer this.
longer the delay time. But if it's something like this, I can kind of read it and get you back feedback immediately. So.
All right. Cool.
And do that with each other as well. You don't have to go through me.
And then, do we all know when the posters are? Is just like when it's.
Oh yeah, what is that thing? Is it March 27th?
27.
27.
Yeah.
Also, there is the GSA Research Symposium. The deadline to submit for that is today, and that's like a 250-word abstract, and there is cash prizes, I believe.
Oh.
And that is March 25th at some time. But they need people. Look, one, they need professors to judge, but they also need more abstract submissions. So they would like some more.
So what you're saying is the potential for winning.
It's $15,000 are raised, and yes.
Insurance fraud.
Do you have a sense of whether or not like research in progress like this? Because I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that at OGIS this is welcome. Is that the same
Yeah,
story
it's
there?
the same story. It's just through tech. So
Okay.
Definitely recommend. And for funding for travel, I know this is like just funding related, but
Yeah.
the deadline for the travel funding program for the GSA deadline is today as well.
Can you add that information about the travel funding to the Lab Wiki on scholarships?
Yes, I can. And they actually came out with a 2-page document recently that has all of like like these different methods of getting travel funding beyond what
Ah.
the GSA can give you.
Cool.
So
That's not too bad.
yeah, I'll put that on the wiki something.
Cool. And then public service announcement. Check what you have on the lab SSDs. I think I told everyone this. The C drive, especially on the window, the one right here, computer B. That is, it's like.
Should we just pick names today? Do we have time?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Kanye West and
Neil Armstrong.
I know we had Sam Neill,
Big Neil and
L. Jackson.
I like. These are big computers, so big Neil isn't too bad.
What else? All right, so Sam Neill, L. Jackson, Con Neil West. What else?
I'm gonna put in Neil this.
Neil this. So,
That's pretty good. I'm still a big fan of Neil Armstrong. The other guy's Tyson.
oh, okay, all right. But Armstrong is what we use for root passwords and stuff too.
Yeah, but that's-
That's true. We don't want to give them away, all right?
yeah. So, call that one
Famous
out.
Neils.
Any other Neils that we want to throw out there?
yeah, before we present.
Might be a little long.
Yeah.
We gotta work that in there somewhere though.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond. Okay.
Neil Diamond. Yeah, that's
That's
a
a
good
good
one.
one, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Ooh,
DeGrasse Tyson and Neil Diamond.
my new favorite.
Yeah.
Which is Goose.
Yeah. Yeah, Maverick and Goose.
Also like that.
I like that.
Then the laptop could be Iceman then.
Yeah.
The outsider.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that set. You ask Maverick and the Iceman for the laptop.
Hmm.
But the thing is, I mean, Goose, you know, like, he's no boss. So, like,
But then it's Memoriam, dude.
So once we.
but our computer's still here. It's doing well.
Goose is always with us.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah. So the,
Except the end where.
Yeah.
Just leave that one.
Yeah, the father.
Poor guy.
Hit his head, I mean.
Yeah.
All right, how do we vote?
All right.
We have the algorithm.
No, we're not doing.
Well,
We're not doing.
Yeah, it's a complicated matrices function, but it's all weighted by willingness to use Linux. So
I feel like as the
So the
only
more
female,
Linux
I should have
really-
some weight in this.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, no. So if you use Linux, you have 100 points. If you don't,
No.
1 or 2.
I feel like I should have more points. than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, I'll throw Iceman on there too. All right. So Samuel L. Jackson for one of the computers. Ready? All right.
Oh, we're voting like.
Yeah. If you
Wait,
want to
heads
say
up.
yes.
Secret ballot.
Secret ballot.
And
Okay.
it's recording us, so it's not gonna be a secret.
Secret ballot for your top
Here, I've
two.
got some, a couple,
Okay.
Yeah, we have pens and pencils in here.
I got this for my like BPSA adventure. So.
Are we like putting top three?
There you go.
Top two.
Top three?
Top three, or should we do top three? Let's do top three.
Okay.
It's one of those things where like we all vote for something different, and then we have to like do a couple more
Eh,
iterations.
The secret.
Yeah, that-
Probably have 11 to do.
Ah, come on in, that's okay. We're actually just voting on our lab computer name, so we got time. Come on in.
This is Rebecca, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to finally meet you.
One of you has to entertain her because I have to
Oh my
run.
god.
I'm just kidding,
Sure.
you don't have to entertain her, she brought books. But
Yeah, there's a quiet corner.
I'm Tom Pingle. It's really nice to meet you.
Oh, I learned so much. I learned so much about you too. Oh boy. Good stuff, good stuff. What are you naming the computer?
We're just getting ready to read the list of possibilities.
All right.
Yeah,
So.
you want to vote too?
Yeah, so we got Samuel L. Jackson, Con Neil West, Neil Vis, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Neil Diamond, Goose, Maverick, and Iceman.
I don't know what any of those are in reference to.
Maverick
It's like-
is the name of our RAND server, I think.
What?
We also name our machines and
Yeah.
servers or Linux boxes, and I'm pretty sure at one point there's one named Maverick.
Okay, all right, talk on that.
Precedent.
Talk on.
Yeah.
Talk on.
Choose your top two.
Wait,
I thought it was top three. Oh, three, that's what I meant
Top
to
three,
say, sorry.
Will we also be able to tell who it was by handwriting?
I wanna mix, what doesn't really matter, I'm just gonna read.
there's chicken scratch, it's fine.
It's more important that the votes be independent, not anonymous.
Yeah, alright. So, one for, alright, let's go.
Whiteboard.
Yeah,
Alright, so.
Alright.
We got Maverick, Goose, and then Neil Diamond.
One each.
Man, I should have put all three of my votes for the same one.
Alright.
Then we got Maverick, Goose, and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Neil Before Me Peasants, Neil Diamond, Samuel L. Jackson. Just do NBME, NBPMP.
And NCEP.
Yeah, whatever. NB.
What was the other side?
Neil Diamond and Samuel L.
Oh,
Jackson.
Neil
We're taking
Diamond.
a vote to name our lab computers.
CCM.
That's fun.
I wouldn't mind naming it Sam.
Alright. Neil Diamond, Samuel L. Jackson,
Oh, there we go.
and Neil Lewis.
Neil Lewis.
Niels.
We got Maverick, Goose, and Iceman.
Iceman.
Yeah.
3 weeks, alright.
Alright, that's it. So,
Alright, we got 3 computers to name. So I think these two are Maverick and Goose,
okay.
and Neil Diamond is the laptop.
Alright.
Perfect. Awesome.
Cool.
I think this one should definitely be Maverick.
That one should be Maverick.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Yeah.
This is by a bigger screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bigger screen, everything.
Couple more cores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still in the Navy for a little bit longer.
Um,
Yay.
yeah.
14.
So that's where my kind of meme comes in. The C drives are full. I don't know what is stuck on wall space. I found something that was 150 gigs on the root drive.
And did we say these are 1 terabyte drives, the
Yeah.
solid states? Okay.
It's not that critical of a pound, but the joke is that we don't want our hard drives to turn to Goose. So that's I guess of data. And then if you haven't backed up your Google Drive, I did mine on Saturday.
Ah, nice work. Yeah, actually, that's another thing is to make sure that your Google Drive and cloud stuff is going to not the C drive.
Yeah.
There's ways to move, like the
Yeah.
default install directories for those are on the C drive, but you can make it all to go somewhere else. So
Yeah, and I think we were pretty much on the D drive, I think. Or at least me and Jim knew we were. I double checked mine.
Oh, okay, because only a couple weeks that had about the data on the C drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and then downloads and trash can be emptied. And I'll help out.
And the memory cache.
Yeah. I think
is there a way to run a profile? Probably there is, right? Of like,
who's
'cause
stuck on
because they also get tagged with our names, so we should be able to do like
Yeah.
a scan and just figure out like,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think I actually ran into this problem because so on our D drives, anyone can write to our folders, which
Yeah.
isn't the biggest problem in the world. But I was like, what if like someone accidentally like runs a Python program that sudo r like protect it, but when I set permissions, I essentially locked myself out of it.
Yeah.
So I had to like admin let myself back into my folder. So I think it labels us all as the tpingle serial number A.
Okay. All right. We'll look into that.
Not that big a deal, but that's all I got. And then my goals for next week, do 3 proposal questions, at the same time build that ledger network, and then process the image or the stuff I'm getting today from the undergrads and Peter, and then just that one try for a half hour.
Cool. Excellent. Everybody knows Johanna, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, does this actually?
I can't see. Is that better?
Debatable.
Worse.
Oh, button.
That's worse. That's worse.
You cover this best we're gonna be able to get. It's green.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Keep this.
Yeah, Sam, you're logged in on my user by default to Google Drive. So,
Please log me out. Take the lab computers downstairs.
yeah.
I'm not Jim.
It reminds me, I think I left myself logged in at the instructor station at the end of Wednesday, but I guess that's 8 p.m.
Yeah. I've been bringing stuff on a flash drive, so I just don't.
I just bring my laptop and don't use the computers.
Yeah. But you have to present.
Oh, yeah.
Android put out an update this morning, and it's like really messed up how everything. Like, it doesn't mess up how everything works, but it just definitely looks different.
Oh.
Yeah.
But Android 10 or something?
Yeah.
I think I did that a while ago. Is it the stripe at the bottom?
Yeah. Well, no, it's like it's just made the top drag down bar look weird.
Oh.
So these are lab report for this week. So talk about Birmingham and stuff. We'll get into that. So for a proposal, just I worked on that this week. You guys started my proposal. Got a page and a half written, so it's got a good start. 1.5 out of 5 is pretty good. So and then I wrote my just abstract, which is about 175 words thereabouts. Here it is. Anybody wants to?
Yeah.
That's good. Had a good amount of help. Or you toss it over to Dr. Pingle to make edits. So
Johanna, comments from you? You might have a chance to look at this one.
I haven't. I remember. I've read a few papers on Wednesdays only because they do a lot with terrain roughness.
yeah.
So I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that might be a good thing to add. So you've got aspect, slope, curvature. You can put roughness in there. Might be a good thing to toss in there. Okay. But otherwise, it looks good.
Awesome. Right. Then Birmingham, so / contract work, right? So got asked the other day to go to Birmingham, Alabama on March 7th to 10th, like right at the start of spring break, to do a survey on a rock slip down outside of Birmingham. Don't know anything about it, just got asked to do it. So I was like, sure, why not? And yeah, so it's kind of, yeah. And so then before that though, I'm going to start, or after that, in that time frame, you start doing Pix4D to process data for the Geohazard Research Center as part of my, I guess, an early start to my potential summer job if I don't get any internships. And it shouldn't take too much of my time here because I can just run it on my computer at home and let it run all day. So
Is it their Pix4D?
yeah, it's gonna be there for Pix4D. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'll get to go back into the whole Pix4D game, learn some more. So, and then Lantau Island LiDAR is the data from Hong Kong that we got last week. So I looked at it and messed around with it some. They gave us a full full thing of the entire Hong Kong kind of area.
Oh.
So and I clipped it down to basically about like this, like basically from that corner to about right here and down and over. With mainly more about where the Shi et al. Paper kind of looked at, and so clipped out the raster. No matter how much I could zoomed in on the LiDAR point cloud, like there was always holes, like in the.
So I think that's the ground surface poking up above the LiDAR.
I even turned off the ground surface.
I didn't notice any holes when I did it in Cloud Compare. Have you looked
Well,
at
but
it?
I tried. There's no Cloud Compare on that computer. I didn't install it, so I need to reinstall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't notice any holes, but let's take a closer look.
Yeah. So, but it was mainly like in like these crevices that they were, yeah. So no matter how much I zoomed in, and so I don't know, but yeah. And then so anticipated goals. What I did this week was homework. Got the homework done. I actually had a kind of a light week this week because I got all my homework done by Tuesday, and I ignored the rest of the homework that was due like next Friday. Really relieved a lot of stress. I put the drone park in orange because that was low priority / didn't like just a relic from last week that I should have taken off. And then I didn't really get the curvature comparison or the micro DDM stuff. I looked at it, but I didn't really figure out why. The documentation was not helpful, like at all, in like as an issue, like troubleshooting. So that's kind of, I guess I could mark that as yellow or something or orange, but yeah. But I didn't get the proposal started written. And then so for next week, some homework for like machine learning and Bill's class and stuff. I actually did this already. Well, not through NeilPy, but just on Arc Pro, the curvature calculations, and I started that. I started both of these after I wrote this, and then I want to try and finish my proposal next week. I want to get that done before spring break, so I can give it to you to read over, give it to y'all to read over.
Okay.
Make suggestions, and I want to start a poster for OGIS, and got this picture here because Southern Railway. It's a great railway, but also it gives a green light to innovation, and that's what we're doing here. We're innovating things. So,
Use a green light
You
innovation.
sounded like a commercial.
dude, that's right.
Who gives the green light to innovation? Southern?
Yeah, Southern Railway. They're now Norfolk Southern. So
Don't all those railroad companies own each other?
no, not yet.
They share power.
Yeah, they definitely share railroad stuff. They share tracks. But
Yeah. Because like that was a big one, like Burlington Northern,
oh yeah,
BNSF.
Yeah.
merged. That's a huge
thing.
yeah. They bought it. They basically merged. Same thing with Norfolk Western and Southern merged. So, and then Union Pacific pretty much bought up all the other Pacific ones. So, yeah. All right. No, that's it for me. All right. Who wants to go next?
Okay.
Okay.
I like the three.
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah, well,
Overview.
last week's was big Linux, big money, big fun, but I'm banning myself from this week because I spent too much time last week. So, and I found this excellent picture online. I didn't make it; it was already like that. So, anyways, summary for the week. I added a courses to on the wiki.
Very nice.
Put our machine learning class on because I don't think anyone should take that.
I second.
It's on the same page as the like courses to take,
Oh, good.
just at the bottom. So if you have courses that are helpful, you can add them there. Organize the stuff in the office, especially the file cabinet, for 30 minutes, but it makes, especially, I don't know, like everything's much nicer now. Did my OGIS abstract, did like 5 hours of machine learning, and then proposal and more laser scanning, reading things I didn't do. I didn't install RLS. I still need to do more proposal, and not spring yet.
Almost.
Yeah.
We got a couple few days.
Yeah.
I'm not finished.
So people like to put laser scanners on all kinds of things. So they put on a boat. It looks kind of unstable and top heavy. Then they put on this like cart thing, wheelbarrow sort of thing. I don't know why. Like I don't know. It seems unnecessary. And then these things that I think are funny and look really clumsy all the time. But yeah, and also just to make it a lot of report, but I found a good paper that looks like it's exactly what we want to do with the backpack.
Good.
Velodyne setup. So
Cool.
Is it putting like a weather scanner on the backpack?
yeah, so it's 2 Velodyne units and GPS and like laptop on a backpack, and it does its thing. Basically, the home built version of this like a Pegasus that costs like $100,000. Yeah, which we have everything or can get our hands on everything.
Yeah.
Tech, cool stuff.
2 laser scanners,
Yeah.
1 GPS,
Yeah.
a couple of good cameras.
I'm liking this boat idea.
Wait,
Yeah.
which one, the duck boat or the boat boat?
Yeah, the Argo or the.
Oh, it's all them.
I don't know if I was wanting to drive on it. But
Yeah, that really looks cool.
So this is my OGIS abstract. I also have the bullet point version, and also submitted it. So
Yeah,
if you want to tell
Did you
me,
submit yours too?
yeah.
Oh,
What about the edit? Well, you got the edits done.
yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
I'm not.
Jim, did you get a confirmation email or anything?
No.
Okay, I didn't either.
It comes like empty.
But you
Are
can
you-
read this if you want.
Johanna, are you doing OGIS this year?
Yeah, I'm in the geography seminar, so I think that it's part of the. I have not. When is it due this week?
Monday.
Monday.
Oh. Structure form motion?
Whoops.
Already submitted.
You said I could submit.
Let's do next time.
Do you think I can email them and ask them to change it?
Probably.
Yeah, the TLDR. Then goals. I want to install RLS. Finish my proposal also before spring break would be nice. Get the DNS set up for Ubuntu because the IP doesn't stay the same.
Yeah, we have static ones already reserved for both of these.
Oh, they're just not like they don't have them.
We may not have ever configured them. I think I got them reserved while I was gone, and I think Hudson was going to do it, and then I don't know.
Okay.
So
we have the domains with the Windows side.
yeah, so you can always get in via the domain.
But is it like a? Did you? I looked back at that message you sent me like in September or whatever about how to set up the domains. And one of them was Wins domains. And I guess that's like a Windows manager. But would that work on Ubuntu? I don't know.
Probably you could make it work, but I mean, we can literally just get the IP addresses reserved, and then we're
Okay.
good. So
Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's probably better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I also want to keep looking into better RDP for Windows. I found something. It's like a pretty popular GitHub on GitHub called RDP Wrapper or something. That's a workaround the way that Windows only tries to limit you to one. I don't know if it's like kind of sketchy
Yeah.
or like.
all right,
But it seems like a lot of people use it.
maybe send it my way so I can
Yeah.
look at it before we install it.
I did look at it. It's GitHub, like it's pretty popular. Like, a lot of people use it, but technically what it's doing is it's modding the there's a limit to only one RDP, and you can mod your home, which doesn't allow RDP to use like 15. And I think that's like against the license. So I was like, yeah, it's probably not great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are a business. We probably need to.
Yeah. Because the going through WSL to do Windows stuff seems really hard.
Yeah, that was more. I was like, if you guys were thinking of doing like Linux
Yeah.
stuff and you just wanted to run stuff,
Yeah.
that would solve that problem. But it doesn't solve the multi-user Windows problem.
And the VM thing works pretty good. I can
Oh, yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah, we could just do VM.
Yeah,
And
do it all over.
yeah.
Did you say that there's a good VM for Windows? We figured out you can copy it, right? We can basically clone our Windows install and like make little.
No, I did that with my SSD, and that was a headache and a half. Like you can copy them, and I tried setting up to where I could boot VirtualBox from our SSD with Ubuntu, and that wasn't really working. I just don't want to look into it anymore. But I think you can, but it's complicated. It's like made to boot off of a SSD, like all that boot security stuff, like UEFI. I guess it doesn't do that with virtual machines. What we could do is they give us education for free. Like every student has education, so we just download a couple of those, get those licenses, and then we can just have education Windows VMs running.
So like each of you would have your own separate VMs and you could just do whatever the heck you wanted with them.
Yeah, and they actually have more functionality than Grow, but so we can install the same software like Arcanum and stuff. That's what we have the students doing.
Yeah, give that a try.
What about resource? How does that allocate resources?
We'd have the kind of the big one would be disk read write.
Yeah.
So if we had like 3 people sitting on the hard drive reading and writing, we'd get a third, like 1/n.
Yeah, but I don't think
Yeah, we're
if you guys aren't hitting the data that hard, I don't think it's gonna make much difference. I
Yeah.
think it'll be okay. It's worth trying.
Yeah,
Why don't we set it up and give it a shot? And then the trick is gonna be to make them boot up the startup as a service, right? So you're gonna want to start those VMs as like in headless mode as a service, so that they're always running.
I found a software called NSSM, which stands for Non-Sucking System Manager, and it does that pretty easily. It's open source. We could run lines on it.
Cool. That's all I have.
So Hannah, are you here to hang out, or do you want to present today after Colleen?
I don't have anything to present.
Talk about it a little
Yeah, I
bit?
can talk about it.
Cool.
I'm gonna go get
Yeah,
the
You,
so
like, I've tried using, I have a few thoughts about like curvature and this one has.
Okay.
If I run with him to get the coffee, like 2 jumps.
Sure.
yeah, you can sit in this chair.
Alright. Unfortunately, this week got a little off track. The physical and mental health kind of hitting. Good news is, started PT yesterday, and I have a counseling appointment next week, so hopefully that'll help.
Yeah. How's it feeling?
It was hurting today, but I was able to put some weight on it without the boot. Not really walk on it per se, but just like put some weight on my foot instead of just pressure. So that was exciting. But it's really stiff and the swelling has gone down a lot, but it's starting to turn pretty colors. So like
Nice.
I can include a picture next week if y'all want. Yeah, so I did get that, just had check done, and I started tagging the readings because I figured that was something I could check off, is that I at least started it, so I did that this morning. The rest is stuff that I'm hopefully going to get to next week and also catch up on work from this week, because depression meant I had no motivation to do anything, and I was tired all the time, so this is what I have so far. It's very short.
All right, sure, it's fine.
Works for me.
Alright.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
I wasn't sure if I needed to add anything or not, so.
I think it's good.
Yeah. The only thing I might change is the sentence that it has many uses. Maybe you could use like an acronym.
Yeah, if you put least cost path analysis, it's usually like LCP. So you could put LCP, like parentheses LCP after that.
Okay.
And then you could say LCP has many uses. That's a
Yeah.
good suggestion.
Okay. This is just me starting to tag the articles, doing it by like LCPA, and then also if it's related to the location I'm looking at, like South America, and if it's focusing on like archaeology. So I think I have a good set of tags. I might change some or add some, but I at least have a starting point.
I put a list of the tags that I use at the top, so I'm kind of familiar with what those are. So
Okay. And this has spoilers from the book, so like if you don't like them. Anyways, plot twist. I found out that one of the guys in the early 1900s who supposedly found the city was just a big old liar and was really just looking for gold. And he created this whole backstory. So we'll see how this book goes.
oh wow.
Yeah. And I do like how it's going through the history of the search for this location and like who's done it before and all this other stuff. Like the guy who was looking for for it was actually hired by someone who donated a whole lot of artifacts to the National Museum of the American Indian. So that was pretty interesting, but the fact that he was like there for the gold and not for actually finding places was disappointing.
Mm.
And then next week,
By the way, I bought a copy. I was inspired, and I bought a copy of that off of Amazon, like a used one, but it was large print version. The print is comically big.
oh man, yeah, I have the Kindle version, so I was able to read it while they were icing my foot at PT yesterday.
Oh, nice.
So next week's goal is get back on track, get caught up on stuff that I got behind on this week just because of lack of energy and mental health and all that good stuff. And basically all the stuff from last week that I didn't get done. All right.
Okay. Everybody's ready for spring break, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a mix of depression, burnout, and I'm in pain.
Yeah.
So,
One more week.
one more
As
week.
long as I don't do machine learning, I'll break. We'll see.
All right.
Do you think I could connect my screen to?
Yeah.
There?
Actually, you hit Control. What is it? Windows P.
Yeah, Windows P. It won't show up on the Zoom, but
That's okay.
Ooh. Is it the PC one? Oh no.
So connect to a wireless display.
Mhm.
It's the Samsung 7 series? No.
that's it's whatever that is.
Oh.
That's the story.
Oh, got it.
I was told I need to rename my computer because it doesn't have a fun name.
Oh, cool. Okay. So, since you're here, I'll talk about structure and motion. So, I work in recreation ecology, which is studying the impacts national protected areas from recreation. So we sort of focus on trails and campsites. So first started with trails. You walk down a trail and you have like a soil profile where this is the eroded zone. And so we're trying to figure out, traditionally we go out in the field and we put 2 sticks up at the trail surface and put a line across and measure down to get like a soil profile. And that is our, and then we like do that every 100 feet or so along a trail surface. So we thought maybe a faster way might be to do structure for motion. This is someone's thesis that did this on a bike trail, and so this is their resulting structure for motion model to measure erosion in this area. And so they wanted to see if mountain biking impacts during this one mountain biking race like really removed a lot of soil. And in fact, they found out that it's just kind of models where it just kind of moved the soil around. It didn't really take it anywhere.
Okay.
And so I thought that was really interesting. And then I sort of thought, so something that we look at is we always capture like at one moment in time what amount of erosion has been. But a lot of the, like ideally we would have the rate of erosion, like how much soil is actually being lost per year. Has it eroded to a point where it's stable? Like maybe they don't need to reroute a trail or fix it up because it's like eroded to a point where it's stable. So I had this thought like maybe we could try using structure motion to do like if we do it one year and then again same spot another year, has any soil been lost over the course of the year or even before and after a storm, something like that. So I think our projects maybe overlap a little bit. So that's my one thought for like a possible thesis paper. And then you're doing beach erosion, structure for motion.
Yeah.
Slide out.
Yeah. You could do it on the walkways to the beach. So it's a big
Yeah. Those are pretty big. And I was thinking like if I could compare, so not very many people in the field have tried even measuring soil loss using structure for motion or LiDAR, but it's a field that I think might help managers increase some monitoring capability. And if
Yeah.
they can figure out a way to do it efficiently,
Yeah.
then that would be a pretty big tool
Mhm.
for them. So
So basically just like walk up and down the trail with either the stick
yeah,
camera or
Yeah.
a backpack lighter or sort of thing.
yeah. So the reason why the stick might be particularly useful for my field is that typically in a lot of trail systems in the east, especially, there's a lot of canopy cover, and I think that flying a drone under canopy would be
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
So that's why I was interested in doing that, or even LiDAR in effect.
Yeah.
So that might be even more difficult to process. So I kind of wanted to see, would it be worth it
Yeah.
to even try use, like what would LiDAR give me over structure for motion or structure for motion over LiDAR for motion trail?
I would think light would be a big thing. So you don't have to have ambient light around for LiDAR.
Oh, yeah, because it's active.
Yeah.
Sensing, yeah.
So like that's one of the reasons why I want to do it.
Mhm.
You can also, because you can do it at night, for me, like we can avoid having people on the beach, like a lot of people that would mess up
Mhm.
the survey. You don't have to fly, which with the stick photogrammetry you don't have to either. And also, it's a neat thing to compare the two, because that's what I want to do is compare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The some of the new LiDAR scanners are a lot less expensive. So the two Velodynes that are at the library, that technology is a few years old at this point. So like I got my first Velodyne scanner 5 or 6 years ago. The new stuff, Intel has a new LiDAR scanner that's coming out that only costs $300 or something like that. So that's starting to get to be to the point that it's, you know, a manageable purchase for people. And if that produces, it's short range. So they're kind of pitching it for like indoor applications. But I think for near imaging,
Yeah.
you know, where you're talking about trails and everything's
Yeah.
within 10 meters, you're
Yeah.
good. So that could be an interesting application too.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the LiDAR, you're directly sensing the spatial configuration, and the problem becomes stitching together the frames. So each individual frame is like perfectly accurate, and then you just got to assemble those into a whole.
I played around with terrestrial LiDAR a little bit in the LiDAR class that I took, and it just seemed incredibly hard to differentiate between, like, maybe I just need to more practice with it, but it seemed overly complicated to try to find, like, okay, where would after you stitch it together, like, isolate the points that are ground versus, like, when I took it a few years ago, it seemed like the algorithms for that terrestrial LiDAR weren't as well established as those for airborne.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think though, if you are working in an area where there isn't a lot of cover, so if you're directly sensing the soil and there's not vegetation, that makes the work a little easier.
Okay.
You don't have to worry so much about that. Then it's just
Yeah.
isolating points rather than filtering points, and
Yeah.
you can manually do that pretty quickly
Okay.
with some of the tools. So
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll hopefully get it going anyways.
yeah.
Part of my thesis. So.
Right. So running it down a trail, you know, may be an easy thing to do. Nearby,
Yeah.
you can at least. I think that's why I always encourage you guys to like get some data and just see what it's like before you spend a lot of time, you know, at your study site or whatever. Just like, you'll know right away whether it's going to be useful or not.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna go out this weekend on a trail with the GoPro and try some structured motion just to try to play with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see those results. We just ordered a stick, a 24-foot stick. So that should probably be here next week.
I
And
think I'm gonna be using a selfie stick for maybe try taping it on there.
how tall is that? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, how tall does it need to be for?
so the one that I used was like 15 feet.
Probably only 3 feet, 2.5 feet.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's that's another thing. Like when we get the stick, we can kind of run it at 5 feet and 10 feet and 15 feet, and we can see.
Yeah.
Because like I've tried a camera like just at like holding it and walking it through places, and it does not work at all. But like at 20 feet or whatever it is, or 15 feet or whatever I had it, it was like magic. Like it was great. So I don't know. I can't even really explain like why that should be true, but I have. Might be at home. Might be here. Yeah, it must be at home. I made a little thing that like screws onto the end of like the sticks that we got, like because they're all like a common sort of a broom handle type thread.
Oh, maybe I could use it.
Yeah, I was thinking if we could put a thread like a typical camera tripod or something in, that might be pretty useful.
Yeah, we could make like a little adapter.
Yeah.
That would do that.
Like every camera has a take those.
Yeah, I had made one that was basically a GoPro fitting, so you could just like put your GoPro right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
We could print. Well, that's a GoPro. I think.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, you're going this weekend now, huh?
I was gonna try to go Sunday.
Sunday. Well, if we get a chance to run home, maybe I can see if I can find it real quick and bring it in. Are you going to Cloakroom today or not? Oh, probably not. You're not. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can make do this weekend, but
Yeah.
we can enjoy the
I'll try to get it at least. Okay, so you said it worked really well up to 20 feet, but it doesn't work.
It wasn't
like
probably
your
20
hand.
feet. Let's say 15.
15, okay.
Yeah. It was basically, I bought it at Lowe's, or I didn't buy it at Lowe's. It was like one of those things, and the thing we got too is for like changing light bulbs.
Oh.
Or like clean windows, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's
Maybe
just
I'll just go with that one.
yeah, you could do that. Or if you wanted to wait a week, we'll have the stick probably next week, and then you can try that. So whichever.
Okay.
If you do with your selfie stick, then you'll have one at
It's true.
a shorter altitude, and we
Uh-huh.
can try it again later with the longer one.
Cool. The other thing that I worked on this week, I met with Dr. Fingal, and we did. So this is a study site in Lake Tahoe area, Desolation Wilderness, and there it's really rocky, just like a ton of terrain roughness there. There's a lot of boulder fields, and it's just generally rough area, but it's also a pretty popular camping area. So the managers there would like to decrease the number of campsites that they have out there. They feel like there's too much camping impact. There, pretty much every flat spot that could possibly be a campsite is a campsite around popular lake basins. So they have like some things that managers worry about are like people camping too close together and them not feeling solitude out in this wilderness area, and even just like these really close campsites to the lake's edge, especially with the amount of use that they have. This is a really popular wilderness area. So we're trying to come up with different ways to look at how we can limit camping impacts. And something that I've found in my master's project is that campsites that have, obviously rough terrain around them or really steep terrain are generally smaller than those that are in like a large flat area, just because people don't want to camp on sloped terrain or rocky areas. So if managers are trying to figure out which campsites to keep or which campsites to get rid of, ideally we would like to suggest that we keep ones that have those two qualities: steep terrain around them and rough terrain around them. So, but when I tried, we did a field indice basically where we said it's smooth, when I tried doing that with some LiDAR data that I found in this area for, and like did standard deviation about elevation or whatever, found that it didn't really work at all. There wasn't really a relationship between campsite size and terrain roughness. So I was trying to figure out a better way to maybe make that the ground layer. So he was Dr. Pingle's just testing it out and seeing if it works. This is a bone map of a half meter, and the bone map. I was wondering about this. It gets like really
Yeah.
fuzzy in these areas that.
So that's when it's over removed points and is so the cloudiness there you're seeing is like the interpolation of just trying to fill it in there. So that probably means that we need to adjust the parameters a little bit to try to bring that into focus a little bit because it's basically too aggressive. It's throwing pieces out that we don't.
Because I thought like, well, then I just like threw a hillshade, ran through a hillshade instead, and it looked a little better. Or it was like easier to see maybe what I was trying to see. Maybe it looked a little over.
So is that a hillshade of the half?
Yeah, it's a hillshade of the half meter bone. Half meter square.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to compare a hillshade to the bone map and see if it. I don't know. Maybe it'd be easier to see.
Sure.
Via that instead, and the trail kind of pops out a little better here.
Yeah. What does it look like on the bone map?
Maybe not. Like.
Yeah, the whole shade's better, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, anyways, playing around with that. And I haven't tried doing any new parameters. I might try some. Which one of those would I change to maybe?
Potentially. So definitely the 18, which is the window size. So that's the one that's going to make the biggest difference.
Okay.
So the bigger that window, the more it's going to try to like get rid of stuff.
Okay.
So I would definitely shrink that down as far as you can take it. Yeah, the half meter, like that took a long time to run. So I would probably sort of explore at 2 meters to see what your kind of ballpark figure is, and then we can kind of run the half meter based on those parameters and see.
Okay. Yeah, and then the other, so I thought, well, maybe the standard deviation of slope wouldn't work or something like that. And so like in my master's thesis, I tried a bunch of other indices to figure out like maybe there's something else that would measure flatness better. So curvature gives you convex, concave, and flat. So I tried running curvature just using whatever ArcMap had, and it also was kind of all over the place. So I was wondering maybe there's other ways to, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how interested are you in kind of following up on that? Because I mean, your interest is really kind of in the trail management side, but this gets to a really interesting issue, which is that a lot of the old ways of kind of taking terrain-based or DEM-based metrics work only at a certain resolution of the data, and when you shrink this down to half meter cells, those algorithms don't produce the results that you're kind of looking for anymore. And so, how many polygons do you have judgments of? Like, so can you describe your rating system for like how you saw these campsites and you quantified them based on a subjective judgment?
Yes. Yeah, so when you're sitting on a campsite, like imagine this table's a campsite. So something I struggled with is that, half the campsite could be incredibly rough terrain. The other, and I'm looking off-site, not on-site. I'm looking at the terrain surrounding the campsite itself. So, like, for example, if use increased on this campsite, would people expand it over time because it's like flat up there or whatever? So if you're looking off campsite, you say, okay, it's like really rough over there, really smooth over there. I guess it's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And so when I was doing measure or analysis in ArcMap, I needed some way to try to figure out like how do we quantify that if it's partially surrounded by sloping terrain. So instead of doing like standard deviation of elevation for a buffer around the campsite. I did standard deviation of like a looming window. So I got a standard deviation for each cell and then took the average, the median of that buffer.
Mhm.
The median standard deviation of elevation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of.
So, all right. So, and was there only one judgment per? So each campsite, you said you're looking around. You're kind of like the overall. My judgment is medium for the whole thing.
So when we looked, we also tried a campsite expansion potential index, but the problem is that we're pretty bad at estimating, like, okay, if I look 30 foot buffer of this really like sinuous shape that's kind of all over the place, like where does that buffer end and start, and what proportion of that buffer is like unexpandable versus expandable. We found that our judgments were kind of all over the place. They weren't very good.
Okay. And so when you say they're all over the place, were there?
Like if we all tried to do, if we all tried to do it in the same campsite, we'd get a different judgment.
So there's significant variability in
Yeah.
your own judgments among humans.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think a really interesting, I think one of the things that I think needs to be done is like a big hole in research, a big hole in literature is algorithms need to produce results for roughness that correspond to what humans think of as roughness using these data sets. And that just does not happen. And there's so many things that are sort of built on that. Like Jim wants to be able to look at potentially metrics of roughness or curvature. They're sort of on the bounds of these landslides. But again, standard DEM algorithms don't produce the results that you would think. And so there's all these sort of ways of post-processing that stuff to try to get at it. But I think if you've got a data set that has these metrics, like there's certainly a paper in there of like trying to solve that problem. So if you feel like you're interested in taking another crack at it, because that was your thesis work, right?
That was my thesis work, and it was like just part of it. It was like, okay, well, I'm going to try all this and see if it correlates to our average measure of roughness around the campsite, and yeah, it didn't. So.
Are you publishing out of that?
Yeah, but that's more about camping sustainability as a whole. It has nothing to do with that. The roughness of it is a tiny sentence that says we tried this and it didn't work.
Okay. Yeah, I would be really interested in sort of taking that on if you are, in terms of like reviving that and taking a closer look at that again.
Yeah, I think that could have a lot of use for whatever research we do in this realm in the future.
I think so. I think there's a lot of stuff that could, all of this stuff that involves LiDAR and you know, it could help a lot of people in a lot of projects. So if you're interested, maybe we can take a look at that and kind of map out how that would look.
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay.
Cool. Anyways, that's really all that I have for
Cool.
what I've been working on and thinking about.
Even Sam's stuff, you know, damage detection is sort of trying to use DSMs on a local scale and trying to apply algorithms to that. And he's looking at entropy and this idea of geomorphons. I don't know if we've talked about that much.
I read the paper and it's.
That's the one that I'm really, really interested in, and I think has a ton of potential. So I want to write like trying to figure out a model to do this stuff, because sometimes I have ideas about how this stuff will play out, and I don't want to like, the trail stuff is an application of it, and I want to kind of get to this core. So I'm thinking about maybe trying to write like methods, like a methods X paper or something like that. I don't know how popular those things are, but I've been getting pinged for like, you're submitting your paper on trail detection, but are there like methods that you can't get into? You know, they don't really fit in that paper, but they're still useful for kind of getting out there.
Yeah, and I found that, so management of these protected areas, right? So there's like all this cool stuff that's happening in the research field, but nobody has the knowledge within the management agency to apply any of it, because they haven't worked with, any imaging at all, or they are like somewhat familiar with ArcMap, and those that are the GIS specialists don't have time to go and learn
Yeah, everyone needs to do better work at sort of getting like, even like Smurf, like really should be a tool in ARC, right? Like I need to develop it, and part of kind of getting NeilPy up and running was a step in that direction of at least getting it all in Python 3 so that I can kind of get it into ARC. But the audience for it is small if it's not accessible, right? Like not everyone's going to take the time to learn to run it as a Jupyter notebook or even PDAL. Like it needs to be a toolbox in ARC if it's going to be successful. So I need to do a better job. Actually, that was one of the things that Waldo Tobler was always really good about. It's like publishing code and getting it out there. And one of his big pieces of advice was like, try to push the code out there, not just the paper, so that people can actually use the thing. Not only are you helping the world, but you know, it's good for you too.
Open source.
Yeah, for real. All right, thanks. I'm glad you made it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make it. Yeah, unfortunately.